back to what we were saying.
Oh, no, I was just saying that there was a bit of a shakedown in the fintech lending world in China in the last 2 years. And they started putting a bunch of CEOs in jail. Because if the fintech lending company started losing some of the PVP dynamics, so that you were an investor, if you lost that investor's money, which is a normal process of investing. But of course, the CEO, if an investor lost money, then they put you in jail.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a different business dynamic.
That's wild.
Yeah. So
the multi-generational stuff in that region is also really, really interesting to me. Companies that have been around for several hundred years, and they've effectively passed the baton off from one generation to another, thinking about how a person that's younger now, right, in their 30s or their 50s, well, the world's totally different than it's been for 1,000 years. Here, companies don't last very long. It's like, well, if it's not going to be a 100x company, it's like, might as well bail and do the next thing. I mean, I've done that. So, tell me a bit about yourself and what you work on.
So we have a company called RigidBit, and it's leveraging the immutability of the blockchain, of the public blockchain.
Okay.
And
the public or any specific?
Any public blockchain. Okay. So the basic concept here is that we can get massive amounts of data with the immutability of the public blockchain. Cheap, easy, fast, low coding, low tech infrastructure adaption. And so those are all dynamics that don't usually go with the blockchain. Mm-hmm. So typically, like Hyperledger was created because you couldn't put a bunch of data on the public blockchain.
Right.
So by the approach this takes is one that isn't new. It's just having a micro blockchain that's pegged to the public blockchain. Yeah, but what's cool about our technology is it just is incredibly easy. So any company, if they want to lock down their data, just know it hasn't been messed with. 15 minutes you can install this, and then just everything on hundreds of gigs, whatever it is that you've got, is now fully immutable. So if anything's changed, then always be no, it's changed.
Is it a software for the Global 2000? Is it an enterprise software? Is it for
SMEs? Right now we have two directions that we're seeing interest in. Okay. So one is the auditing firms. Yeah. We're working on a partnership with BDO. Mm-hmm. They're the 6th largest accounting firm in the world, and what they like it for is if their customers build this in, that when they go to audit, they know when they pull up transaction data, like the invoice matches the PO, matches the ledger accounting, matches the inventory flow. As long as all the elements of the transaction match and they're on blockchain, they know nobody's messed with it, and they know that transaction is valid. Right. Then they can, with an accounting firm, validate, yes, this is a true and accurate transaction. That's mostly what they spend their time doing. Right. Without something like blockchain, then they go and they investigate each item. They look into the forensics of the PO. When was the PO issued? Who did it? How did it work? When did this walk? Right. They try to do a bunch of background work to prove that the transaction was right. So they like the idea because they think they can save their customers 30 or 40%. That can be a competitive advantage for them when they walk in. So if they're going to bid $500,000 to audit one company, right? Then they now bid $350,000, and then they win that business, right? And get more margin. Mm-hmm. So so they like it just because it's an ask for their clients, because their clients have to install it. But since this installs so easily and it's non-intrusive, then it's not a big ask.
So what's the process for you to onboard something? Are you looking for a certain type of beta tester at this point? Is that?
Oh, yeah. So the process we're in right now is.
You want Microsoft to? Are you a big company, use companies to be? Their departments to use it, or
I'm not sure if I used to work at Microsoft, so I'm not sure if I'd go there.
I like their new CEO.
Yeah, no, it's just cool. The mega cards we probably wouldn't want to go to, especially if they're software companies, because any software company looks at software and says we can do that ourselves, right?
which is almost never the case.
Which is never, but the egos.
Well, of course.
Yeah. So the nature of Google, or I was at Microsoft in the late 90s when it was the racehorse company.
Right.
The whole mindset then was, we have the smartest people in the world. Whatever you're bringing us, we can do better because we're smarter than you. Right. That was this like very clear attitude. Not true, because the only thing they ever were successful at back then was Office and Windows. Right. The server was coming on, it was before the cloud era, and they really could build products. They just had a few products to build. It's the product manager on essentially. Right. He led that. But so we're looking more for any company that is tech forward that BDO or another partner would say, hey, work with this blockchain technology, you save a bunch of money in your audit, and you get a better audit. So there's a bunch of other value points as well. Like, whenever you have your data is immutable, then bad actors also can't go in and mess with your numbers, right? Mess with your books. And statistics about employee theft at all levels are fascinating. Like there's some high percentage, something like 40 or 50% of companies go bankrupt because of employee theft. Wow. Because that margin difference of making 2% or losing 4%, the difference between being a business and not being a business. Absolutely. And that's about what typically happens with employee theft, whether it's petty theft, like grabbing stuff off shelves, or usually it's creative theft where that's right. Yeah. Wow. So that's one end. And then the other angle we're looking at is deepfakes. So really, once you shoot a video
with the same software,
yeah, it's really cool. It'll take any file, any data, which would then include video files, your photo files, okay, and essentially lock it down on the public blockchain, so that any change to it would be known. So imagine CNN, for example. They've got a whole library of footage. Well, whenever they dip into that library, they're putting it on screen saying, this is real, we say so. People start messing with their library, and they don't even know what they're pulling out, what's real anymore. So by having whoever shoots your video would download it, they would say, yes, I shot that video, it was on September 11th, 2019, and this is the authentic video. And they enter it in, so then we know, okay, I shot it, this is what it showed.
Do they have to manually enter that?
No. It's just in whatever server, whatever file structure it's in, it's just automatic. So it's really cool. It's an awesome technology. We're in the infancy stage of thinking about the deep fake thing.
It's gotten so much press lately.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot of press.
I mean, there's some things happening right now. Like I saw something a Leonardo DiCaprio, like a minute of his best parts of his movies, and some guy just took a photo of himself.
I just saw that one,
right? Yeah. So when the common person sees that, and regardless of like how House of Cards that is, when the common person sees that and they say, we're there, all of a sudden everybody thinks to themselves, well, then I don't know what I can trust, not trust. I don't know what's real or not real. Exactly. I've done live streaming primarily through video, although we're really strongly transitioning to audio for live streaming. I've done live streaming probably 1,000 hours in the last 2 years. I bet I haven't even posted 100 hours of post-produced video. And one of the reasons, and obviously there's a lot left to be desired. Sure. Right. But this is all free. I'm just trying to gather community together and have conversations. And then obviously we'll talk about what we're doing next month. And we're decentralizing that event. So I'm finding the right folks that we can partner with and say, hey, what could you take on, of these elements? So that's another reason to gather. And then we just remodeled this place. So we dumped $1 million into runway. I'm the entrepreneur residence here at the City College of San Francisco. And so I'm always like, okay, we're open for business. We have our big relaunch tomorrow. I'm like, I'll throw 3 meetups and let's see if anybody comes and I'll have an interview. I got everything anyways. But even though this is not like cameras in my face and audio is perfect, it is authentic. right? And so there's something very unique about the authenticity compared to like, there's no doubt this is not a deep fake. Nor would it ever be used. Deep fakes are really concerning right now, though.
Well, they used it at the last DNC convention. Where, Tom, what's his name, is the head of the DNC.
Yeah.
Was on screen.
Wow.
As people came in, and he gives this whole talk on screen, and then he comes out on stage and says, "I actually never said it."
Wow.
And why that was all just made up for a deep fake.
Wow.
And so if you think about the candidates running and how fragile their reputations are, going forward, people are going to just put stuff up on YouTube, pass it around, everybody will get excited, thinking it's real, it's not real. So that's another dimension for us to think of going to various campaign, DNC world, and just saying, would you like to have true authenticity on your videos so that whenever something comes out, you can actually show, because everything's timestamped, right? As of this date, this time, this is the real video.
That's right.
And so our goal is that, this might be lofty thinking, but the goal would be that Rigid Bit would then be.
So that's the company.
Kind of like
Rigid Bit.
Yeah. So the company kind of like Snopes is now, right? Whenever you see something that looks like bullshit,
Then you go on Snopes.
get a Snopes, and then they'll tell you what it's about.
Are you guys located here in the Bay Area?
Yeah. So I'm just down in Hillsborough. The mastermind developer is in Sacramento.
And that's your CTO?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And he's got his team. Sort of.
I was just wondering, I see like throwing these Grant Cardone.
What's that?
All these masterminds, yeah, I never know.
Well, I call him that, but
But I know you mean.
let's just say he's the guy who wrote
He's the brains.
core code, and he's got a bit of a distributed team. He's a early blockchain guy, so he was involved in 2011 with some of the original Bitcoin work.
That's early.
Yeah,
That's early.
And,
I think 2016 is
and now, yeah,
That's good.
so he's kind of mature. So he's pretty sharp. But, I'm not technical on the business side, so this is
How long ago did you start Rigid?
3.5 months ago.
Oh, very new.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have strategic partnerships in place? And you guys
We're mostly working on sealing this one with video, the biggest one.
Yes.
And then just in the last 3 weeks, we decided to start pursuing the deep fake angle. So I have nothing. We don't have no message on the website. We have nothing designed on it yet. It's more like this conversation seems like that would be a good angle for us. So those are the two. We know we have interest from the accounting world, so I'm going to pursue that. But accounting adoption is incredibly slow. Yeah. So it'll probably take us 6 months to a year to get BDO's management to say, yes, we sign off on this.
Right.
Then it'll take another 3 or 6 months to get some customers on board. So I'm looking at 12 to 18 months before I really get much action out of this BDO deal. And so I said, that's fine, we'll work on that, but I got to find something that's faster adoption.
Mm-hmm.
And so for something like the deepfake video thing, it's more like a demonstration about why the technology is real and why it will work. And then one day we can have you spun up and your stuff's ready to go. So it's a super fast adoption path, as opposed to a super slow adoption. Hence that thought.
Okay. Yeah, I've had an interesting, last 2 years as we've developed Attention Live. Did you do any background on what I'm working on?
No.
Okay. So Attention Live, publicly, like what I would tell the world, we're a live podcasting tool.
Yeah.
We're the first live podcasting tool ever. Meaning that the primary objective of using the Attention Live platform is that you would live stream your voice, audio, to every platform, right? So we developed all the major ones like YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook Live. Then the archive sent to all the other platforms like Spotify and iTunes and Google Podcasts. the big thing for me is that we're the very first to live stream to Amazon Alexa and to Google Assistant and Microsoft Cortana. So
Oh, I see.
the blockchain application is every single live stream that's created automatically creates a non-fungible token, an NFT, that has the person's avatar on it, their name, their date, the location. On the back, ideally in the future, would be the full transcription of what was said. That NFT would be held inside of OpenSea, which is like the eBay of digital assets. And then the person at live stream has access to lease, license, or sell their own content automated. That was my first blockchain application. And then the voice side is our media product that lets you live stream. It has a voice interface, so you can call it up. Hey Google, open attention. Hey Alexa, open attention. And so I had been working for the last year and a half, 2 years with business leaders, government leaders, trying to figure out how I bring voice as the interface with blockchain as this undeniably powerful tool in the near future. And I tried a couple different products. It didn't really feel like it hit. Every time I tried to go like way over the top, we're going to solve all the climate problems. We get, imagine you're a governor and you just talk to your phone and tell it what to do and blockchain. If this and that automates the whole thing to smart contracts, and that whole. But I realized, well, I don't know how to make money on what I'm talking about. This does, right? Because I have a real enterprise software product that every major enterprise can implement as a top-down decision-making or inside of an ecosystem. And that allows them to be playing with software for the first time that allows them to have a voice as the interface instead of fingers, and allows them to actually have a time, even though it's just basically our databases on the chain. Right? All the media is on Azure, but just that one portion. So because I had been working on that for so long, I just did all these events. I did like 20 events, like the caliber we're doing in a month. I've done like 20 large scale events. And I just kept doing it. It's like an interview, people like you. Like, come spend time with me. I want to know what you're working on. Like, how can we work together? And so in that process, I've interviewed hundreds of people. Most of them CEOs or investors in either the voice or blockchain space, and done a lot of events. And that's kind of how we landed on that. For the blockchain tech, we don't intend to necessarily build every piece of that out ourselves. So we already have partners like OpenSea would be a partner. We don't have a solidified agreement, but that's the intention in open partners where all of our NFTs are held inside, right? Or some sort of wallet like that makes it easy for exchange and for things. And then NFT Cred, my friend Jody Rich, who runs that, they build all the technology out that allows us to plug into an API of sorts to where we just do what we're great at in media. That's hard. It's very, very hard. That's very, very hard. We're doing take away voice, take away blockchain, just building that product. It's never been done for a reason. And so that's another reason why I want to bring people together. Like at the event we're doing in a month, we have a main stage here. We have a few breakout rooms and we'll have a few media rooms. And then what we'll do is we'll have to where the main stage will be for 3 1-hour blocks of time. And every single attendee will be a speaker at some level, right? Whether they're a speaker on the main stage or they're a speaker in the breakout session. And then in addition to that, we will also be interviewed one-on-one. And so the purpose of that large gathering is so that you, with a 3.5 month, or at that point, 4.5 month old company, and maybe your partner, right, the one that's doing a lot of the dev, that one or both of you could come. And that one or both of you can say, okay, who are we courting as investors? Let's have them come, because now Rigid is on display in the Global Summit. And that goes across for every single one of the different voice and blockchain companies. So the way I have it structured for this event is I basically have 2 events at one time. And this has been a pretty unique thing that I've done before, because it allows me to bring investors that are interested just in future tech. So he's like, I don't care if it's voice or blockchain, I'm just looking for the next hot deal. So I can bring all the event and media too. It justifies TechCrunch being here. It's a
So
little
do
large.
you think you'll get, because that's also what I spend a lot of time on, is doing angel investing.
Yeah.
You want to get a tier higher than me as an angel investor. You want to get some of the more seed-oriented VCs, right?
Absolutely.
So will you get those?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I've had over 100 investors here with me at my events already. So, and many of them I've already interviewed. So see, the issue for this event in a month will be being over capacity, because I'm going to limit it to 50 blockchain chiefs, 50 voice chiefs, and 50 media people. And then the investor will obviously fill in the gaps. And it'll be a really good feel, because we'll have basically the only thing that's shared amongst the voice and blockchain is breakfast, lunch, and dinner, where we can kind of mingle together. But otherwise, blockchain's on the main stage, all voices doing breakout sessions and vice versa. And then the media thing's gonna be a big part of it. Like for you, with RigidBit, you could get as much out of next month's event as you want to, right? Like you can make it RigidBit's event. I'm not trying to say the sponsorship, I don't have sponsorships. You bought a ticket. You are the sponsor. Thank you.
Good.
And because you're coming, it's like, okay, what's the right way to expose you, your company, your message, either to onboard potential prospects or to, attract investors, whatever, or the media, so you can tell your story, right? So in that context, I create space for you to do that. Also, make sure that you can get to know the right people that are in the room. And so I'll have a very, very large team facility. I'll probably have 24 people just here, just working to make sure everybody gets what they possibly can out of it. And then with RigidBit, what I'll make available to you and everybody else is we can live stream through your social media accounts.
Okay.
What that means is that if you have a Facebook, YouTube, Twitter account, as an example, we'll take the feed of that day and we'll live stream through your accounts where you or your marketing staff or your contractor, whoever it is, the agency you outsource to for a day or whatever, you control the comments. So all of a sudden, here's an example. You take your email list, or you take your top 100 people you text, whatever it is, and you say, hey, doing this fun event on October 11th, and I'm speaking at it, and I'm going on at this time, and we're live streaming the entire 11-hour event through RigidBit on YouTube and Facebook. Well, then you control the comments for that, right? It's not, so you can send people directly to your space. So that's a big thing that I've been doing with the events, is basically taking a big event, decentralizing it as much as I possibly can through media channels and each of the speakers, letting them either succeed or fail in the digital exposure,
Sure.
and then capture as much content as possible. And so I love your feedback on that. I don't know if that all makes sense, but that's the big. That's one of the big ways.
It's conceptually
right.
And with some level of detail that you provided, I guess what's going through my mind is for the to optimize the value of the event. I think you mentioned that everybody who's in that C-level zone will have a speaking opportunity. Is that speaking to the other 250 people that are at this event, or is that only getting your own room and whoever shows up in your
Really like yes. So we anticipate about 100 people in the main room with the main stage, and the other 100 people spread throughout the breakout sessions and media room. So you'll be speaking to upwards of 100 people physically at any given time, but the energy will feel fantastic. But we'll have, I'd like to say over 10,000 people signed up to watch the live stream. So whenever a person's speaking on the main stage, then they are being streamed to, even if you don't let us or ask us to live stream through you, you'll be live streamed through the other 100 or so accounts.
Yeah.
And so during that moment when you're speaking, you're live streamed through everybody's account. You get exposure through everybody's account, just like they get exposure through your account, as an example. So there's a live stream main stage. Then we live stream in the Igloo, where I do micro interviews for one-on-one, so I can really set people up for their 15-second explainer and their 1-minute explainer, and they can take that and put that on Instagram. Like, I'm helping the whole industry. This is very infinite. There's no competitors here. That's one thing for sure. There's no competitors in blockchain or voice. Right? It's way too early. Right? So all I'm trying to do is I can raise everybody up to do better storytelling. Right? And also, I need everybody. I need to get my investors together, I need to get my peers together.
So you're talking about this as blockchain and voice. Is it voice and blockchain are two different things? Or are you saying?
They are.
So you're gonna run kind of two simultaneous threads?
Two producers running two different tracks in the same time, and that's for the sake of making sure I can attract more investors more. Exactly.
Oh, I see.
And the only thing that's shared is breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay, so you're talking
Right. So basically, like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it'll be the whole room is together. They're networking. Would say, oh, you're a voice company? Oh, you're working on that thing with Microsoft Cortana? Oh, you're a blockchain company? You're with EOS? Or, oh, I don't know anything about that. Tell me about that, right? And then the investors and media have access to both these communities in one place at one time. But the tracks are completely separate.
Yeah.
So it's like just blockchain for this entire time on the main stage. And the breakout sessions are private. So the way I've structured the breakout sessions is I want people to be able to openly discuss what they are doing without feeling the pressure of having stuff live streamed. I want people to be able to have, more deep conversations. So those might be recorded, like audio, video, and I'll have to decide how I distribute that. Because ideally, I'd like to give everybody the content that's captured for the day. So if you're like, hey, I definitely want when I talk on the main stage, I want that one-on-one interview. And that breakout session, there was 2 times that those were moments, right?
Right.
And so that's part of what's being created. That's why there is the ticket price, because I want to be able to provide that much and more value to every single person that's coming, not just in the platform to talk on, but in something that's tangible. And so, yeah, but ask me more questions. You're everybody else I talk to already knows that you come to all my events. They don't have any questions. Like, yeah, it's gonna be great. All your stuff, yeah, you're crazy. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, that's cool. So you have some regular attendees. You hear various events you do.
Yeah, because I've done about 20 events. About a dozen of them have been here, and all of them have been a similar structure, except I never advertised any of them, and I never really. There's a lot of things I did not do that you do for a professional event,
Sure.
because my company wasn't done. We just finished our product on Friday. We just launched.
Wow, congrats.
18 months.
Yeah.
We just launched our all of our branding this last weekend. And so all the reasons why I wasn't like putting, all the gas in the tank to make this big stuff, I was trying to perfect the product, right? So for me, events was a way to gather all of my investor friends and all of my peers that are chiefs and bring them together in a way that we can have great conversations. The problem that I had is all of the voice events and blockchain events completely siloed, and there is no relationship whatsoever between those two silos.
Sure.
And as far as I'm concerned, machine learning runs the world in the future. Right? Voice is how humans interact with it, and blockchain is how we hold technology accountable, as well as every other wonderful new thing for corporations as well.
Yeah.
And so the fact that nobody in voice and blockchain are seeming to communicate makes me very motivated. Like, how do I get people together, but not make it to where you don't want to sit down and listen to voice people talk for 6 hours, right? But you don't mind meeting them at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, having an after party, right? And meet investors that want to invest in voice, because why not hear what you have going on?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the structure of it. And so the big thing for me is there's 2 organizations that I've done blockchain events with. So Coindesk with Consensus in New York City. So I was there for the 4 days, did a lot of the live streaming stuff. So ideally, they'll be very, very involved, and they will basically take on one of the breakout sessions. Then NFT.NYC, which is the largest non-cryptocurrency conference that I know of in the world. And so we did that huge thing at PlayStation Gear, like 40 countries, speakers. It was just a big deal. So they'll have another breakout session. So the Coindesk will be like, what's important for all blockchain stuff today? Let's facilitate those breakout rooms. Well, NFTs, like, how do we help crypto artists and blockchain games and things of that nature? Yeah. For Voice, it's the other 2 guys that run the Voice events. Voice Summit has about 5,000 people, and Project Voice has about 5,000 people that go to their events. I help produce those, and so they'll be running their kind of ecosystems inside the blockchain, inside the breakout rooms when blockchain is on the main stage. The main stage is what I love, because I am not a big fan of panels. I'm not a big fan of keynotes because both are so easily off the rails, and so what I love is this.
Sure.
And so to be able to sit and have a meaningful conversation. So like for Rigid Bit, we look at this. I have 7 different arenas that I've kind of broken down society into, and then we have one talk on the main stage that's about today, and one that's about the future. So like for you, you may say, hey, listen, like of the stuff I see in the schedule, like this is my sweet spot. How can I participate in that? Right? And it's like, okay, perfect. I found the right spot for Scott so that he wins.
Sure.
And I get to know Scott and Richard a bit better, and we get to have this fun conversation. And it's like, that's kind of the ecosystem that I am intending to create.
Yeah.
I love that, because you're new. Everybody else I talk to, they're like, I know, we know you do this all the time.
No, I like the way you approach that. I think because we've all been to lots of conferences in the past. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the keynote speakers can drone on and on because they feel like they have to do something monumental, and so they try really hard to take up a lot of air.
Right.
And then you get panels, and panels are kind of a whole lot of nothing. Right. A few people who may be semi-experts with throwing out bits and pieces, so that it doesn't add up to a lot. But I like that structure. That sounds good.
Yeah.
So when do you have your kind of like the agenda, the formats all laid out? So
it's done.
So then you can pick to say, hey,
absolutely.
This is the moment for the
Yep.
there.
Have you filled out the speaker profile yet? It's on the page. Okay.
I
And I'll, is this your cell phone?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll shoot you the link. You go on there, and that asks every question for you to get narrowed down, and then boom, we'll kind of lay it out. On the main stage for blockchain, there's 28 10-minute sessions and 2 keynotes. Most likely the 2 20-minute keynotes will be taken by the people running the breakout sessions, like Home Desk will likely take one, and NFT will take one, or a celebrity, right? Gary Vaynerchuk's in town that day, and I'm trying to see if Andrew Yang is available. He was a big deal at the Home Desk Consensus event, and I think there's a lot of reasons why that would be beneficial for everybody in the room if Andrew was there, because he is what Bernie Sanders and Trump were 4 years ago, and what Ron Paul was 8 years ago, and what Obama was 12 years ago. Yang seems to have that juice, so obviously it's nice that he's in the room because he gets people's attention, right? Same with Gary Vaynerchuk, right? And also Gary and Yang have a lot of valuable things to share, but that's another big thing, right? They bring attention and energy, and what they get is access to more distribution than probably anywhere else that can get that. So
that's your
goal.
job.
Well, I think I have pretty good metrics. So, but imagine if Gary opens up, as an example, if one of these guys open up their network, their channels for us to live stream through, then they all of a sudden were the keynote speaker at this big deal event. Ideally, major media companies that they care about are covering it. But then every room, they just got access to share what they're doing through those channels as well. So yeah, so basically there's 28 slots for people like yourself to do a 10-minute interview with me on a specific topic that allows you to promote Rigid Bit and yourself in under 10 minutes. So it fits on every single social platform there is, right? You go over 10 minutes, you use all platforms.
Yeah.
And then the 20-minute keynote slots are ideally for celebrities, so that we have a chance to have that kind of buzz type thing, which hasn't been a problem in the past for events.
Yeah.
How about for without our conversation, I'd love to hear what you're expecting as a brand or as a marketer, as a salesman. Like, what's the plan for Rigid Bit? How do you tell the world about Rigid Bit? How do you get the world's attention, and what do you want them to do when you have influence?
Yeah, no, I've been really focused on sort of 2 steps, right? One is the definition of exactly the focus area we're going after, so the accounting side and the retail side, and we're still working on that definitionally. What do we have to tell people we do, and why? And then I'm focused on finding the initial credible user, right? Ideally an influencer that is on board. If I can find that common, like in the accounting world, if I have video on board, then you get all the smaller firms will just sign up. The bigger firms, the big four, don't care what video does, but they also have their own teams of 100, 200 blockchain developers doing their own blockchain stuff. So whenever I go talk to KPMG or Deloitte or Ernst & Young, they're like, oh, what you have is nothing. What we're building is everything. And of course, the standard software engineer.
Right, exactly.
So we can't penetrate that. That's the idea for that end. And then on the deep fake side, the initial thought is to go after the political candidates.
Okay.
And somebody like Andrew Yang would be really cool, for example, because the guys who are more tech forward, who's the other guy?
That's tech forward as a Democrat?
Yeah, the Silicon Valley Steyer.
Is he a real candidate?
I don't know. I think I saw him with some. He's still in the mix with the runners, but since there's two Silicon Valley guys running, it'd be really cool to get one of those candidates on board to say, hey, I'm going to make sure whatever video is up on me is the truth and not the fake.
Right.
And if we can get one of those guys, then that'd be really influential for the rest of the Democratic Party. Right? And then if I can get a number of the candidates on board, then
were you at the consensus in New York City?
No. When was that in May?
May?
Yeah,
13th and 15th.
Yeah, that's a little early.
Yeah, it was the same week as the New York Blockchain Week. So Ron Paul was there, Andrew Yang was there, so it was pretty fun to kind of see them. And, I got to connect with Andrew and his team in the speaker room. And Andrew's actually a much larger person than I would have imagined.
Oh, really?
He's like my size. He's not like heavy.
Yeah.
But he's like almost 6 foot. He's kind of broad shoulders. He's kind of like, I just never guess that much.
Right.
But yeah, let me ask you this: for you, if you could have any media company that you have access to a month from now, or some, would that be like the big name brand Forbes, Entrepreneur Magazine, like just USA Today? Would it be specific, like CoinDesk, something that's very specific to just blockchain? Who's the audience would you want attention to talk about what Bridget is doing?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that at all. Because I guess I've been so focused on sort of that cornerstone account concept. But it's a different question as far as whose audience. In other words, I want the media company to adopt it for the benefit of the media companies. So CNN says,
we need this tool for ourselves.
And I hadn't think about it as the media company attempt to be the one to tell the story more.
Maybe it's a B2B media company. Maybe it's a media company that really has the attention of your ideal clients. And you're trying to do that like
so that which then begs the question. It's always a challenge to sort out who do you really sell to. Yeah. Everybody likes to say, well, I'm going to sell to the CEO, C-suite.
Right.
Sure, if you get their attention, you go ahead and buy off and things will happen. But there's also somebody in each organization whose job it is to make sure that this is taken care of. Right. So who is that person? On the media side, that one's pretty tricky. I'm not sure who the info security is going to be thinking about this kind of thing or not. But there are people. Just a minute, how do we find these people? I don't know if that's the IAPP group, the Industry Association of Privacy Professionals.
Right.
There's a whole world of people that are just all about privacy and security. That might be one way to get it. I guess I do, like talking to you the more I think about it. I want to go to the person who's most at risk with the deep fake exposing them, or the CEO of the accounting lockdown that was protecting his company. Better audit, lower theft, lower
church communities, because they have personalities inside schools and inside nonprofit organizations. And these personalities are primarily videoed, right? They're communicating as a teacher or as a preacher, whatever it may be. Have you considered how you could roll that out, like with like the whole Catholic Church or with the entire Stanford University?
If they're worried about
because it's not exposed like a political candidate or like a CEO or something of that nature. Okay. I was just trying to think because it's a top-down decision-making thing,
right.
And the Pope says this, and the cardinals and fathers and whatever they all do. I'm not a Catholic, I don't really know, but they all do it, right? Or in theory. In theory.
But the third deep fake use case we've been thinking about is the police body cams.
Okay.
All that footage. Dash cams on the police cars, body cams. That is a really how people are going to jail, or people are getting fired, or people are dying, like all kinds of shit's going down. And it's always what fries the cop for being guilty, or what proves he actually wasn't. Wow. They're always looking to this body cam footage. So if you wanted to mess up the police department, you'd hack their system. Find the right video about it. Wow. And pretty soon you actually have a close-up of Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot. He did have his hands up. He did say don't shoot. Because that's how he manufactured.
Wow.
So, yeah.
You ever, what's it called? It's an Indian, I think, guy. He's a comedian. He has a Netflix show, a new show every single week. I'll say I can't remember his definition or not.
You're talking about the guy that was in Silicon Valley.
He may have been. I wish I could. Anyway, he's a thick guy, beard, tall, obviously funny. And he has a show on Netflix, a new show every week. It's kind of like it's kind of like Jimmy Fallon meets Vice. It's kind of what it feels like to me. It's really well done. In fact, it's one of the coolest looking shows. They just did their last episode this week, and it was on the problem with police not having accountability. And what he exposed in the show, in a very winsome way, is cops have access to all that footage, and the person that is facing the cop in court has no access. And because the cops have access, footage accidentally disappears, all these things happen. So that is on the minds of, let's just say, 10 million people watch this show every week. It may be more. And they obviously give their attention to Netflix for the whole time, which is very interesting time of human development. But people are thinking about that. And so that's a really interesting application.
Well, if that's the case, then the police department, the police union would probably prevent us from getting in.
Yeah, they have
yeah. I mean, so I don't know, did you hear about there was a recent situation where the cop thought he turned his camera off. He didn't turn the audio off, but not the camera off. And then he pulls the wallet out of this guy's on the ground. They got him handcuffed. He takes his wallet out, puts some coke in there.
Yes.
Puts his wallet back.
Yes.
And says, "Hey, what's in your wallet?" I haven't seen it. I just heard it.
It turns out he had done that for years.
Yeah.
He had put a ton of people in jail.
Yeah.
And nobody really knows how to navigate that situation. Because how do you navigate a person absolutely destroying hundreds of families, tens of thousands of people that are affected by those families imploding because daddy's gone now, innocent, no drugs, but whatever the reason that happens, nobody really knows how to deal with that situation because there's no way you can possibly rectify the fact that there's been men and women pulled out of stable living situations with their spouses and children and their communities and their jobs, and for no reason whatsoever, now being in the prison system, which will turn you into a criminal if you're not one.
Right.
It's a very interesting thing. I just saw something on it, and I just thought, gosh, I do not know how they're going to navigate making things right. And it's not like, not to speak down, but it's not like slavery 150 years ago. Like we're trying to make things right for that. Like, I'm sensitive, but it's like that was a long time ago. This like is now. They're jailed, they're now being released because of it, and their whole life is imploded, right? It led to a divorce, led to the kids. I mean, how do you deal with something like that? And if and when blockchain is instituted into these different elements where human error can happen either on accident or by ill will, that it's no longer an option. How long would it take for somebody to implement your software? So let's say you nail your ideal deal. Then what's the onboarding process for RigidBit?
It's about half an hour.
It's a half an hour. What is the reporting process then? Is there like a dashboard?
Yeah, okay. A dashboard that you can basically go through. If you want to identify something specific, to say, I want to know if this file's been changed or modified or not. You just type in whatever unique identifier it is that file's about, and it'll come up and it'll tell you whether that chain is broken or not. Basically break the chain if somebody changes something. Or it'll just provide a regular report of here's everything, and you can just scan through it and see what's going on. Or it'll provide here's all the chains that have been broken. Because people will go and files. Right. We're not trying to say you should never change the file. It's just that you don't want to change files without knowing they were changed. So it's incredibly simple. It's incredibly easy. In our meeting with BDO, we were asking them after we did the full 5-hour deep dive on the technology, and demos and everything. What else can we build in before you can make this better for audit? Yeah, and they were all left with blank faces. Perfect. Perfect. So all they need to do is when they do audits, they just want to type in their unique identifier. Yeah. We're looking at this transaction, so type in whatever that transaction is called. Everything related to that transaction comes up. Wow. The data is there. They can just go open those files, and the files haven't been changed. Wow. It allows them to just check the boxes. Yep, that's good. Wow. Whereas in the past, what they'd have to do is they'd have to submit a request to the company to say we want this information. The company would have to go dig around and find it. And they do some sort of FTP so that they get the files to the accounting firm, and the accounting firm starts its investigative process to try to say, do I believe that these files are real or have these been tampered with? They don't know, so they have to do their own forensic work. So that's why the accounting guys like it a lot. But that's the beauty of this thing. It's inexpensive, fast, easy. It doesn't require a coder. You don't have to know blockchain. If you're technical, it helps because there are some technical components. Okay. You don't even need technical people involved in the process. Do you have the monetization plan nailed down? Is it a monthly fee? Is there services combined? Do you have services? The answer is no. We have no idea what the monetization is going to look like. Right now, we're just working on that initial process of getting it dialed up. We think what it might do is we might tie it to size. So if you're just trying, either size of the company or how much data are you trying to plug in? If it's just, if it's 500 megabytes, that's one thing. It's 500 gigabytes, totally different. So it might be. There's two companies that kind of remind me of this similar narrative, but definitely a different product. One is Justin Dillon's company, Freedom, FDRM. Justin Dillon was, I would definitely go to FDRM. Yeah. And I can also send that to you. Ryan, can you give me a pen, bro? There's one like that. Thank you. So I need to send you the speaker. So I'm going to send you the speaker form. And send you a link to FDRM. Well, what's our friend's name in London with the WW worldwide, Goalie meeting?
Yeah. She's a very hard to say.
But what's the name of the company?
MJ is what we call
The company was like worldwide. Yeah. Well, I know. I'll just find it. So MJ. So these two. That's rad. Really? Video is?
What happened?
We are live on Alexa Video. You just did anything you've never done before.
Oh,
Hello, Alexa Video. I'm loving you right now. So, I'm so happy. So, FDRM is Justin Dillon. Justin Dillon became well known because he created a thing called Freedom. Oh, it was like Freedom something, and you went to Freedom and you found out how many slaves worked for you. You put in your age, your ethnicity, where you live, and all, and it just calculates. This is probably how many slaves are making your food, making your clothes, and that's how Clinton's got behind him for the Clinton Global Initiative. Obama got behind him. Like, it was a big deal. Then
Slaves. Like modern day slaves.
Yeah. Because he basically figured out the supply chain around how things are made.
Oh, I
And
see.
he wanted people to become aware that as a 12-year-old girl that lives in Palo Alto, or a 71-year-old man that lives in Brazil, when you go in and you put the metrics of your region, who you are, it made calculations on how many slaves are keeping your life going. So people are like, not make you feel bad, and not just so that people are like, I had absolutely no idea. Now that I'm aware, I wonder how maybe I can be a better human. That's kind of the fun, the worldwide generation thing. So he then decided that even though that was sexy, and going on CNN and Fox 1,000 times was sexy to talk about it, none of the anti-slavery organizations were fruitful in the way that he felt were necessary. And he said, I can fix this, and I can build a software around this. So he built Freedom. It is tied to blockchain. That was an afterthought. And basically, he has a very large Global 2000 customers, and those large customers have him implement his software that tell them all the places where they have things going wrong in supply chain, especially tied to bad labor, slavery, things of that nature, and gives them solutions to solve that problem. So I feel like what he's done, there's some similar storytelling between you and him. He spoke at my event before. It's very likely him and his team will be hearing about it. The other one is Worldwide Generation, and I'll send that to you too, MJ. That's a totally different thing. It's like, but the story sounds similar, right? For me, what you're doing with Rigid Bit, what MJ's doing with Worldwide Generation, and what Justin's doing with Freedom are probably three different collaborative companies that are probably approaching some of the same problems in a different way. And I think the three of you probably really benefit to know each other's advisors, know each other's investors,
Sure.
And so, and this is why today's meetup is nice, because like, you bought a ticket, you're coming in a month, thank you so very much, genuinely. I did have 20 people coming. Watch, I have like 13 coming to the one in Voice, and I'll end up having like them bring friends, and I'll meet too many people. It is what it is. It's all live and exposed. Here's my vulnerable process. But this is why I want to do today, right? I get to know a new friend that's going to be here, figure out how do I serve you best, but also like there's immediate things that I can do to kind of connect the dots. Are you raising? Are you going to raise, or have you raised?
Raising soon, yeah. I've had a few initial conversations with some seed-oriented VCs.
Okay.
We're busy putting more definition on the business, so it's pretty early. But we've got some interest, so we'll see. But yeah, no, I mean, the answer is yes. I'd like to meet investors. If that's the question.
Okay.
So the VCs I've talked to so far have not been true blockchain oriented. And when you talk to people who aren't really all about blockchain, so they will profess in the meeting, I don't know enough about this. Sounds good. What do I know? I don't know. And that's not what usually leads to a writing checks. Yeah. So I've got to find the ones who really know it, who can say, okay, yeah, what he's built is cool and different enough that I believe there's a market.
Yeah. Is there anybody specific you want to meet? Are there any investors or people that are like, that you're looking to and you're like, gosh, I'd love to work with
Well,
that person?
there's a handful of these blockchain focused VCs. So,
Okay.
I forget their names at this moment. I have it somewhere, but
Shoot me the list if you'd like to connect with, and you or I or both of us can do outreach. If I don't personally know them, one of my friends probably does, and let's get people in the room that you are interested in connecting with. What do you think are you gonna do like a pre-seed angel type raise? You're gonna go straight to a real significant
it
seed?
depends. It really depends on what the investors will tolerate. The easy thing.
I'm trying to
The
navigate
easy thing
myself
to do
too.
is a pre-seed. Easier,
Right.
because there are people who will, get you to 750-ish, million maybe. You build out a more formal team. You build more hooks and just start to commercialize the technology better.
Yep.
And then lay down some customers and some revenue, and then the A round becomes easy.
Yeah.
I actually prefer the idea of doing big seed, like $2 million seed. It's not quite an A round, but it's more
Enough
than
to give you real
future. Yeah. So I'm in that zone where I really prefer to look at this as it's a real business. Let's get serious and go build a real business, because the product's built, and it's not like we need seed because we have a PowerPoint. We need to show the product.
Yeah.
No, the product's built, it installs, it works.
Would you consider the product like enterprise ready beta or MVP ready? It works and you're still working on it.
Yeah, I'd say it's MVP ready, not for enterprise, right? So when you say enterprise, if you're thinking of true massive corporations, but I'm thinking more like, is it ready for Andrew Yang's campaign? Absolutely.
You hear that?
Is it
Andrew
ready for-
Yang's press secretary, who I need to reconnect with, because I want Andrew here in a month.
Yeah.
This thing's ready.
Ready.
Okay. Now, somebody gives you $2 million. They say, I want to be your only investor. Like, let's go for a ride.
Mhm.
Not what we spend the money on necessarily, but you staff locally. You have a local office. Is it a San Francisco-based company, and you kind of build inside this ecosystem?
Yeah,
or
I mean, it might
is it distributed and it's like it's all specialists? And like, help me understand kind of the thought process around that, because all these things are new to navigate for us.
Sure.
All the answers today are different than they were 4 years ago, right?
Well, I'm of the mindset that you want to start the company local with people local, so you can work as a team together.
Okay.
And then when you need to expand, then you got to go to Montreal or Dallas or offshore or whatever, because the cost value is just so great. It's very hard for new companies to compete on the talent front with dev teams, with the big, well-funded money machines that are all around here, right? Google, Facebook, whatever. But you can get great talent half price, and you can actually get them, in other places where even attracting scale and talent in town is pretty low.
It is.
But I like having a core team to create the beginning of something that's real.
My software company started with my friend at this house in 2010. We were just acquired by a PE firm in May, and we never raised. We scaled to 11 million annual recurring revenue as an SMB, kind of like a specialty HubSpot, for auto. I mean, it was, in our opinion, it was 100 times better than HubSpot for our industry, right? Yeah. And the all-in-one operations, financial, marketing solution. And the way that we scaled to 11 million ARR with 150 employees in 8 offices, without ever raising money and being profitable every single quarter, growing every single quarter, right? The number one fast growing company in San Jose on the list, was our office in Eastern Europe, which one turned into 6.
Sure.
Because people would come in Eastern Europe, we'd say, what do you want? The master's degree in computer science, what do you want to do this job?
Yeah.
They give us a number, we'd offer them 50% more. Very good job loyalty. And for us,
how many years ago was this?
we started in 2010, but it's still the same pace.
Yeah. Well, I've heard the
we
prices
still
are
have
going
100
up for
people.
the engineering things, but yeah, my first startup was the same way, right? I had a core team here, I had 7 or 8 developers in Ukraine. They were awesome, right? My head of engineering here, just every morning he'd do the call, but every morning he'd get up and said, "This guy's great." Wow. So it's hard to do. Most of the time, the offshoring doesn't really work. So but you have to figure out, how do you get the real talent and how do you keep them motivated?
Yeah.
So what we found is you need to have a leader of a team who's his own company and his own motivator.
Yeah.
Because you can't just hire piecemeal developers.
Yeah.
And make them all feel like 8,000 miles away they're really part of it.
Yeah.
But if there's a team there and there's a good leader there, and you embrace that whole thing, it's like,
Can we close that? Get Jesse. I want to capture something for 5 minutes. I want to make a little promo for Rigid Bit, and then we can wrap up. First, acknowledge the incredible awkwardness of you walking in for you. I'm not awkward. I do this. I get caught off guard, and nobody shows up to things all the time. I don't care. I got people there, and even if nobody's there, somebody's watching the archive. Or hopefully hundreds of thousands.
It's not that. I've been around this game a little bit, so yeah, that's right. But my perspective always is, if I get to talk to somebody, good.
Well, hey, it's a big win for
So,
you. You got all my attention.
No, I know, it's awesome. It's been great. It's been really fun.
So, and I'm glad. I mean, if there's one person I want to show, it's somebody that already has felt like there's value in the event next month, has already purchased a ticket because I want to put you on the stage. I want to get you on the agenda, things of that nature. I want you to understand the opportunity for it to be a Rigid Bit event publicly. You can make, and all those things. And we will be following up with an executive summary that really clearly details everything. Hey, Jesse, we're pretty much wrapped, but, like officially, but I wanted to capture like 2 or 3 things. One is I just want to capture a brief conversation with Scott and I so that I can get something for Rigid Bit. No, keep us going. In fact, we're just going to keep this going for a while. But whatever other cameras, I just want to get over here so I can have a quick combo with Scott, say he's going to be here next month, talk about Rigid Bit, and then whatever you want to say. Nothing wrong to say. And then I'm going to just, I guess, do a quick conclusion. Probably I also want to capture with good quality film that we're live streaming video to Alexa's show right now. So that's delicious. So Landrew, I know you're listening. So, you and Ryan, you guys need to record the Alexa show right now if possible, or the Alexa dot, whatever you guys have going on, because here's the moment. So are we good? Jesse, is there anything else? Or can we just do our thing? Is there bring another camera?
Yeah, we're gonna have some agreements.
Okay, cool. Any thoughts before we kind of do the wrap up with cameras? Which the purpose of this is, I'd like to just put you on the spot.
No, I got the gist of it. Yeah, that's good. Cool.
And so we're just waiting for them to roll in the back. Is there anything that I can do besides provide value for you and your company at the event in a month? Is there, and besides saying over an executive summary so you're kind of aware on paper, okay, I get it now. This is what it means to decentralize the event.
Sure.
This is what it means to speak, right? This is kind of the things, filling out the form is going to be helpful for us. Anything else that I could do?
Well, what I'm not clear about is I've got a CTO.
Uh-huh.
I think it looks like any human that shows up needs to write the check for the big number.
Right.
If I want him to come, but I don't want to write a check, is there a way for that to happen?
Well, probably not, respectfully, because I'm going to have thousands of people that want to be there. And the only way, and I'm not doing sponsorships.
Right.
So instead of me hitting up Rigid Bit for $5,000 or $25,000 and trying to get people,
overpriced people in.
and then So for me, I wanted it because there's all these things with thousands of people. I wanted it to where everybody in the room is a peer to you and your CTO, right? Should your CTO come, I mean, it would definitely be nice for you to have somebody with you. In that sense, I guess, you guys could also divide and conquer of sorts. It's something to have a conversation about. It would also depend, like, would you want, like, hey, if I come, I want to be able to be on the main stage and do the CEO talk, but at the breakouts, can we get 2 moments where my CTO can participate in the breakout, things of that nature.
Sure.
Yeah, but like, because I'm not doing sponsorships and it's going to cost me $100,000 to put the event on, you know what I mean?
You gotta collect
So
money.
all I have to do is just do the best I can to absorb the ticket prices, take that money and make the event happen, and make sure that everybody walks away feeling like, well, that was way beyond my expectations. That's the big win. And for me, obviously, right now we're live streaming to Alexa and all that, and that's a very big deal. Nobody's ever done it. But there, it's going to be real. I'm going to make a lot of noise.
That's great.
All those things.
That's awesome.
I just need to be told that we're good with filming. So good. And if you open an office, do you already have a location for that?
No.
You should consider here. So we were at 100% capacity. We're now down to like 30% because we basically moved every single person out that wasn't wanting to go for the ride of what runway is going to. Not weird, but just like, we're doing construction for 9 months. So like, if you're not along for the ride for long term, might be better to go to WeWork or things of that nature. So we have all these new private offices in here, which would be a pretty cool social proof for your company inside Twitter's headquarters. There are a lot of blockchain companies here, none of which sound anything like what you're doing, but other arenas. And the CEO here is really amazing. Sandy, she helped Ray Kurzweil launch Singularity University. Then she helped, I just forgot the company name again, not Assurian? It's that company called Accenture. She helped Accenture launch their innovation consulting arm.
That's great. Wow.
So she's very, very, very successful. I really like her a lot. So she's taken over, and a lot of great changes have happened here. If I drive from Santa Cruz to be here, I don't come every day. I come when I have things to do.
Sure.
But this is a very, very helpful place for me and has been for years. So if you don't have a location and you want to scale out, what you can do is you can first have this as an office. Sure. And have a floating desk. And then you can get 1 or more private offices for just you or for you and a team or whatnot.
Yeah. I know that works, yeah.
So they have a relaunch party tomorrow. Tomorrow night, 5 to 9. It's also free. If you're free tomorrow, you're welcome to come for all or part of the time and kind of see what's going on. But and then we would be around each other if you're there. So guys, I'm gonna do 2 things. One is, and for any of you watching online, thanks for your attention. You're awesome. And for those that watch the archive tomorrow and in 10 years, this is what I was doing September 11th. 18 years ago, the towers.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking about this morning? Everybody in America that was born 18 years ago. What a trip that is, They were born on that day, and now they're adults today.
Yeah.
Very interesting, huh? So, 2 things. One, I just want to capture our conversation. You don't need to look at the camera. Just our conversation for a moment. And I just want you to tell me about Rigid Bit in a format that you could potentially leverage a 15-second, 60-second-ish clip that you could share. And then the second thing is I'm just going to wrap with kind of the official-ish announcement of the event in the month. So, Scott, thank you for coming to the Global Meetup. This room is supposed to be full, but hey, sometimes only the most important person shows up. So thanks for being here. And can you please tell me a bit about Rigid Bit in a succinct way, so that way I can get one more review, and then those that are watching and that we're capturing, they can kind of hear it.
Okay. So Rigid Bit takes the mystery of blockchain and tries to democratize it so that everybody who wants to lock down their data or lock down their files can do so easily, quickly, and affordably. We talk about the concept of immutability. It's really the question is, what data matters to you?
Yeah.
Because if there's some data or files or video that really matter to you, in this day and age, hackers can take them, mess with them, change them, and many of the times you can't tell at all.
Right.
So enter blockchain. Nobody can touch a blockchain file and change it without it being known and therefore discovered.
It's great. if you had a billboard with all eyes on it in San Francisco, and you have one statement to pique interest and one call to action, what's RigidBit's one statement, and what should people do about it? Go to rigidbit.com. Like,
yeah. So the statement, I think, would be around that question, which is, what data integrity matters to you?
That's good. What data integrity matters to you? That's the question that piques interest. They say to themselves, I want to know more. Is the best place to follow up going to the website? Is it emailing you directly?
Yeah, the website, of course, gives the overview, and there's a contact form there to fill out, or email me, scott.langmack@rigidbit.com. Since my name doesn't roll off the tongue, then if you can find it written down somewhere, you can email me, or the website's easier, rigidbit.
Yes. And just to be clear, it is RIGIDBIT, rigid bit. I'm going to mention a couple last things before we close the live stream and wrap up the meeting. One is what is happening behind my right shoulder. This is Michael Mosley, my business partner, the president of attention.live. And, I am concerned about blockchain, voice tech, deep tech in general, that it's a little maybe too science and not enough art. And so one of the reasons why I asked Michael to do his hobby, his passion in the room today, was it allows us to remember physically that art does matter, right? Like, this is important. And making space for artists. At the event we're doing in a month, we'll have a lot of crypto artists here and a lot of different musicians, and it's going to be a very art-centric thing, because I think art, if you don't have both, I think we're in dangerous territory. So these two paintings, Michael is creating out of the energy of this meeting, and then we're going to give them to a couple of our friends that are running the stations, the breakout sessions. The other is, look behind my left shoulder, you see a one wheel here, and you see a hoverboard here. The reason I have these here is to make a point. Robert Bigger came to me in 2013 with the hoverboard, just a CAD. We built the product before One Wheel came out. One Wheel, 2.5 years ago, was selling 10,000 boards a month, $1,500 each. We have never sold that many boards, never sold 10,000 boards, not even close. Our product, on paper, technically, is superior in most categories, except for how much easier this is to ride. Right? This is easier to ride and safer. It's not as beautiful. It doesn't have speakers. It doesn't have sonar. It doesn't feel the same. And I bring this because I want to make a point to the blockchain community. Does the perfect product that's beautiful and sexy and amazing, is that most important? Maybe. I mean, we do have the most powerful electric vehicle in the world, pound for pound. 16 pounds, goes 16 miles, and goes 60 miles an hour. I mean, it's a big deal. But this I have because this is what everybody's riding. And I just think it's important. Sometimes you just have to ship what you can sell 10,000 of and not try to get the 20th version of the product. Not in any way to diminish what's been accomplished, but these are two very stark differences. And actually, people need to be mindful and self-aware of, are they trying to create the perfect blockchain tech, or are they trying to create blockchain tech that the world's going to use? It sounds to me like what RigidBit has done is more along the lines of creating something that can be implemented right away and can be used. Finally, on October 11th, which is a Friday, in this exact same place, we'll be having this very large event. It is called the C-Suite Global Summit, the Future Tech C-Suite Global Summit. There's a blockchain track and a voice track, and Scott will be attending. He'll be speaking. Every attendee is a speaker, and it is only for chiefs and investors and media. That's it. If you don't qualify, then we will be refunding your money. You, I'm sorry, cannot join us. And so it's the point of bringing you and your peers together with investors deploying capital, and then another industry to kind of rub shoulders and get to know each other. So that's all for now. We're going to kind of wrap the live stream, and I'll be back, I think, in 2.5, 3 hours for the Voice Tech Global Meetup. And Scott, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for having a custom meeting.
I know. Come on. This was, for me, this is the best result compared to having, I guess, a room full. But I think I enjoy this a lot more. Just being out with you. And I'm so flexible. I'm like, I don't care. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'll walk you out. It's time.
Okay.